Yodit, you and I on a previous episode of this series, you talked about how this kind of spike in interest during the pandemic, there was a lot of questions being asked, which is a great thing in a sense. If we're going to take any sort of positives from what's been a very difficult time for a lot of people, for us as a community, it's nice to be asked these questions and have the opportunity to do it. But I'm kind of interested in how data and the interest in data was happening pre-pandemic, because it was already building up some steam. And clearly, if you've set up a data company, so you must believe that as well. But just talk us a little bit about where that kind of interest in data was heading, and what role the pandemic had on the trajectory of that interest.
Yes, it's been a really interesting time. Whilst the pandemic obviously has seen a major shift, I believe what it's actually done is accelerate a lot of things that were already happening with activity-based working. People had already recognized pre-pandemic that, if their employees want to work remotely for a certain amount, so people were playing around with person-to-desk ratios and kind of collaborative spaces, and really kind of the conversation around, I suppose, what everyone now is talking about, hybrid working, that was already being had. The debates were being had. The resistance was possibly like at management levels and so forth, but I think the industry, in terms of the workplace industry, had agreed that this is where it was going. Obviously, this change has been accelerated by force. Probably we've gone, we've fast forwarded now, where, instead of that gradual shift of natural transition, it's just happening. The surveys that we did for the employee surveys showed that the majority of people want to work from home at least half the week, if not the majority of the week. So for me, what I've noticed is just an acceleration and also an awareness, and things that were not necessarily a priority before, such as indoor air quality data sets, have now accelerated again, because we know about the impacts that COVID has in terms of using, if there's not enough fresh air and so forth. So people are using things like CO2 as a proxy. And also, I think employers recognize intrinsically that they need to show people that the space is safe, not, they need to demonstrate it. So there needs to be kind of clear indicators that they're proactively showing that these spaces are safe and bring people comfort.
And that's something we explored with Patrick and Derek in our previous episode, which was this employee expectation and demand has sort of shifted. And just very quickly, Steph, have you seen that in your organization, that suddenly, I think someone described, I was on another call with someone, I was doing a podcast episode actually, and they were saying that maybe in the past someone might have come to you, Steph, and gone, it's too hot, it's too cold in here, quite blunt bits of feedback. But now they want to know what the air quality is. People are using this kind of the phraseology that they've heard on the news and stuff. Are you seeing that in practice?
Yeah, I saw only an email yesterday that had come through asking for that information. And previously, where we may have done air quality testing, we already luckily had seen that there was a need for this pre-pandemic. So right. The new building that we are is in addition to our current portfolio, that has lots of air quality sensors in there. Whereas the existing buildings, it's something that you do on a 6-monthly basis or a yearly basis. So you've got your main plant and you know that you're testing from there, but to actually have the continuous floor information is not something at our fingertips, and that's becoming more and more important.